As usual, we've got a great and interesting interview for you guys. Dr. Cindy Banyai joins me. She's running for office, but she also did something super interesting. She started a ministry just to help the people at Alligator Alcatraz. So, Dr. Banyai, great to have you on the show.
Yes, hi, thanks for having me.
No problem. So tell me about Mercy Works Ministries. What is that and what did you do with it?
So Mercy Works Ministries is a church, an outreach-based, faith-based outreach program that we started to help people who have been affected by ICE in our region, people who are tonight getting picked up by ICE. We're going to be out probably all night and tomorrow helping those folks and their families after they've been left behind. And we were really interested in being able to get into Alligator Alcatraz and learn what it's like there on a day-to-day basis for the folks inside.
And do they let religious organizations go help those folks? Is that why?
So yeah, that was why we had started Mercy Works Ministries, and is actually under Graham Walker, who is our lead CEO and our lead pastor in that. And we had wanted to get in. They were starting to let the Catholic groups get in. And we had hoped to be able to get in to learn, because it's been such an enigma as to what's actually happening, especially in the early days of Alligator Alcatraz. And we had seen this as a way that we could get in and learn. And unfortunately, we were never actually able to get in. The only group that ever got in was one Catholic group got in one time. And from then, all these religious organizations, anybody who was looking to help connect and serve folks on the inside of Alligator Alcatraz were not allowed in. And that was part and parcel because of the lawsuits and the situation of whether or not they were even going to continue to have detainees there or not. So the situation, according to the state of Florida, is still no one can access them.
So did you get any reports from either the Catholic folks who went in or anyone else about the conditions in Alligator Alcatraz?
Oh yeah, so we have been working together through our various organizations. I am also part of an organization called Save Our Democracy that has been doing a lot of mutual aid work and helping to get things like resistance funds and legal funds out to the organizations. But yeah, we've heard that the conditions have been horrible. There's been moldy food. There's been people put into a heated box, and heated because it's outside in the Florida sun, but not great conditions. People forced to do PT out in the sun, physical like punishment for not doing things properly. And then of course, as you heard when it first opened, there was flooding. From the very first day, it was flooded. We've heard up to a perpetual amount of 4 to 6 inches of water have perpetually been around the facility, as well as really unsanitary conditions from the latrines, which was one of the original concerns that I had in a viral clip that went viral over the summer, as I was talking about, like, where's all this poop going to go, right? We got hundreds of people in the middle of the Everglades. What's going to happen? And basically, it's as bad or worse as we anticipated.
And what's the current state of Alligator Alcatraz?
Well, what we understand, there's about 200 people inside. The facility is supposed to be able to service about 5,000 people. So it's a significant reduction in folks who are there. This was because of the lawsuits. So if you haven't been up to date on that, basically there was an environmental lawsuit that was put forth by the Friends of the Everglades and the Miccosukee tribe. And they were able to stop initially the functioning at the Alligator Alcatraz and the construction that had been going on there on environmental grounds. And then it went through, they had a couple lower court victories. And then when it went to a higher court, they sided with the state of Florida. So there was this back and forth. So for a couple weeks, they were taking detainees out, but now they're right back to having folks in there. But it doesn't look like they've put any additional folks in.
All right, well, that's a little bit of relief. So you're running for the Florida legislature. It's District 78. Man, there's a lot of districts in Florida. So tell us how it is on the ground in Florida. You know, we get some reports from time to time about different things that DeSantis is up to. I'm going to pick a poor example, but there's the boycott bill that happened, I think, relatively recently, where if you boycott Israel, then you'll have your contracts taken away, because obviously the First Amendment has an Israel exception. Everybody knows that. But what else is going on the ground in Florida?
Well, like I said, really tonight, there is about 50 undercover ICE agents in a community right around the corner from us. And they are pulling people out of taxis. They are stopping people on the street and asking for their papers and going after agricultural facilities and checking to see who's there and just rounding folks up. So it's kind of like nonstop terror, to be honest. It's like nonstop terror. And that is affecting everybody in our community, right? Not only just the folks who are immigrants or who may look like immigrants, but it is affecting all the businesses and the ability that we have to function and care for our neighbors. That is one of the big things that's happening here that I've been involved in as well. A really horrific thing that we came across recently was happened a couple of months ago. There was about 200 people that were picked up in like one night from a small community, and folks in our network went and we were trying to find children and people who had been left behind. We were picking up animals, rabbits, cats, dogs, right? We were trying to rehome them, give them food. There was one circumstance where we got a call that there was a baby had been crying for several days. They found the baby in the house with 2 dead dogs that were in a cage. They were not able to get food or water. The caregiver who had been looking after the child left because they were an undocumented worker as well, and they were afraid. And so they kind of just said, "Hey, the best of luck," right? And kind of fled on their own. Neighbors came in, found the child in there, cuddling the 2 dead dogs who had died because they did not have the ability to drink because they were in a cage. And the child itself had survived by drinking toilet water and eating the dog's food. He had a diaper rash that was so bad that his skin was melting off of him because he had been in a soiled diaper for days on end. This is the kind of real human costs that we're seeing in Florida as a result of these ICE raids, and something that is happening way too often and that we have to deal with. And I want people to know we're in the throes of fascism here. This is no longer like the someday there's going to be fascism banging on our door. It's here. It's alive and well in Florida, and our communities are having to face it.
So I want to understand that story about the baby better. Did ICE pick up the baby's parents? Is that what happened? And then yes, the caregiver ran away because she was worried that she was going to get picked up. And so right. How long was the baby in the house by itself?
We estimate about 4 days before
4 days.
We were able to hear and pick up the child.
So people who were picked up, do they get to call anybody and tell them, "Hey, I've got a baby in the house, somebody go help them"?
No, no, they're not. I mean, this is like straight up Gestapo picking up people off the street. We've even seen circumstances where people were driving a car, parents were driving a car, they arrest the parents, they leave the children in the car. Away they take the parents to Alligator Alcatraz, and sometimes they're even just flying them to another facility, because this is not about convenience. This is about who can make the most money off these detainees around the country, okay? So they're leaving children all over the place. We have helped to find care for about 1,000 children just over the past couple months. This is a horrific situation. And no, they're not getting the ability to call anybody. And it's the folks who are in the communities who are forced to kind of pick up the pieces and try to help in the best way that they can.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you know if there's any organizations that are specifically trying to help the kids if their parents have been deported?
Well, Mercy Works Ministries has been very involved in this, as have Save Our Democracy. We've been working to fundraise and to help folks. But basically, we're in kind of a pickle here in Florida because the Department of Children and Families, they are like mandatory reporters, and they're collaborating with ICE. So if there's a circumstance where unaccompanied minors are basically in contact with DCF, it's very likely that they may be deported on their own back to their home country and are at high risk for trafficking. And that's a very dangerous situation here. So it's very difficult because we can no longer trust the institutions to do what's right by people in this state.
Interesting. So you were running against this person, Jenna Persons Malika. I don't know. I don't know her because it's a local race. So why should people vote for you instead of her?
So I am the people's candidate. That's one of the things that I like to talk about. I have 100% grassroots support, no corporate dollars, no big PAC dollars coming from scary dark money. I'm people funded. My opponent, by the way, I just went through her campaign finance stuff. She's got only 6 people, like 6 actual humans who have contributed to her campaign in the last year, who are not corporations or PACs. And that is between herself and the PAC that she runs as well. So she is somebody who's a complete shill. She is a DeSantis bootlicker. She was the co-sponsor of the 6-week abortion ban here in the state of Florida. And she just sponsored the democracy killing ballot initiative here in the state of Florida, which has made it nearly impossible for citizens to have a ballot initiative like we saw with the abortion and with the recreational marijuana in the past couple of years. She sponsored that at the behest of Ron DeSantis. And she is of Ron. She is the one who is out there doing exactly what he says. When the city of Fort Myers initially voted against the 287G agreements, which was the ICE deputization agreements, she came down from Tallahassee with orders from Ron DeSantis to get in line. And they did. Those people who are on our city council were threatened with all sorts of things, not only just removal and calling Fort Myers a sanctuary city, but we had heard reports that there was actual threats against, the citizenship of folks and their family members if they did not go back and vote to implement the 287G agreement. So the Fort Myers Police Department could, act on behalf of ICE, which is on behalf of Trump. And DeSantis sent her down to lay the long arm of Tallahassee all the way at the courthouse in Fort Myers.
So reversing the ballot initiatives, making them harder and less democratic, that bothers me so much, because that's robbing the people of their sovereignty, of their democracy, of their ability to affect their government, right? So if she won despite supporting all those things, must be a pretty red district. So my last question is, what's your sense of what, if anything, can move some of those voters that voted for her but need to vote for you this time?
Well, it's a very gerrymandered district. That's how it is in these places that are called red states or what have you. The city of Fort Myers itself is very Democratic. In fact, I won, quote unquote, won when I ran for Congress, the city of Fort Myers, because that's how many folks are actually Democratic and left leaning in this area. But the lines are drawn to be very favorable to Republicans, and they have all of their districts are like that in Florida, especially in this area in Florida. So to move people, what I've been doing is being authentic and talking about things that matter to us, like the fact that almost nobody can afford their insurance after Hurricane Ian. We were decimated here. And meanwhile, the insurance company has given people like Jenna Persons money to run, and they're jacking up their prices and dropping people. And now here we are, another hurricane season, and people don't even have insurance on their homes. That's a horrible thing to have when you live in a hurricane area, especially considering the fact that Trump is dismantling FEMA, and they sure as heck didn't fill the budget in the state of Florida with those dollars to help us. So if we get walloped here before the end of hurricane season, we're in big, big trouble. People are going to lose their homes. People are going to lose their lives, and we have no way to recoup it. That is to also add it on to the fact that we have an affordability crisis in this state and in this country. Regular people, wages have stagnated. There's virtually no middle-class jobs in this area. It's a donut economy. We have a ton of retail jobs. And then we have retirees and CEOs at the top. Anybody who's a professional like me, there's only a handful of us here because there's only a handful of jobs. And our economy is so crap that we don't even have the ability to bring in the people that we need, like doctors. We have perennial openings for physicians in this area because their trailing spouses can't get a job, and our schools suck. You think that is a big deal? We can't even talk about the true history in this country, what happened because of the policies in the state of Florida. I was just talking with some other parents here today that they didn't even realize that if you teach about African-American history or slavery in this country now, state policy for education in Florida is that you have to talk about the benefits to the enslaved people. That is a real thing that happens in Florida schools. So why would you move here for a job that isn't going to pay you? Your husband or wife can't get a job. because there's no other industry if you're a professional in any way, shape, or form. You can't send your kids to the schools because it's just absolute nonsense what they're trying to teach. Oh, and by the way, they're firing teachers if they happen to have a different opinion. That was what I spent today doing, if you want to talk about that. But why would you even come here? We can't have that. So we have so many problems in this area. And I think that the regular people know that. They see that. And when I talk about those problems, the same problems that they're facing, they're relating a heck of a lot more to me than to somebody who is making a lot of money and gallivanting around the state doing exactly what Ron DeSantis told her to do.
Okay, super last thing. So those are good economic messages about their real life problems like insurance and housing prices, et cetera. That's great. I think that's exactly the right way to go. I'm curious though, have you see any Trump voters or Republican voters that seem disillusioned? And is there anything that has made them disillusioned or not? I mean, I don't want to invent a thing that isn't happening. I'm curious to ask you about.
Yeah, I will say that there's a lot of folks who are disillusioned. There was a split several years ago between your classic like Bush Republicans, your fiscal conservative types, versus your kind of like MAGA-verse folks, like the ones who are really excited about, rounding up the immigrants, the mass deportation, the people who are down at Alligator Alcatraz taking selfies. There was a big break. And there continues to be a huge, tussle between the Republicans here. So a lot of that does have to do with whether or not people are kind of wanting more of the MAGA disruption and culture war stuff, or if they maybe just want like a stable economy, because that's like the new group of folks that are peeling off from the Republicans that I can see here. But the unfortunate thing that I also see is there's a lot of people who are kind of doubling down. They love it. They love the mass deportations. They love that there's military in the streets in different cities, and they want them to come here. It makes them feel comfortable and safe. So I've been really working hard to help people understand what's going on and how serious it is and how it can eventually affect them. And then also listening to their concerns so that we can make policy and be responsive to those people who are feeling unsafe and insecure for whatever reason.
Yep. All right. Dr. Cindy Banyai, she's running in Florida House Representative District 78, out there trying to do some good work and trying to help people in that district. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yep.